Welcome back to the Stretch the Floor podcast. I'm Matthew. I'm here as always with Venushan, and we're coming at you with our third edition, our third episode of our top 10 by position lists. Today is small forwards, probably the hardest list so far for me, probably for you too. It's the top ones is pretty clear, but after that, it gets pretty tricky. There are a couple of changes to like the position qualifications and stuff like that. So if you just want to go over that quickly, we'll get into
Yeah,
it.
so we use basketball reference and we felt a couple of changes were weird with them. So LeBron is a small forward. He's playing with Westbrook now, so it doesn't make sense to put him as a PG. Uh Demar Derozan, we put him as a small forward too, because again, he's gonna be playing with Chicago Bulls now. He's not gonna be in that power forward spot because that's like Patrick Williams' spot now. And then we didn't make sense that Kawhi and PG were both small forwards. How can you have two small forwards on one team? So we moved PG to a shooting guard and we kept Kawhi in this conversation, even though he's injured for next year. And yeah, those were our three big changes.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's start 10-9-8. I don't they might be completely different for us too, but you go first.
Okay, so my 10 is Gordon Hayward, my 9 is Michael Porter Jr., and my 8 is Grant, Jimmy Grant.
Jeremy Grant. Wow. Okay, so my 10 is OG Anunoby, and I have Gordon Hayward at 9, and then I have Brandon Ingram at 8.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'll just say right off the bat, Jeremy Grant was my 11th. Um,
Yeah,
you missed the cut for me. Not it was just honestly the talent is so stacked in the top 10. Maybe I'm just an OG Anunoby homer, but Grant did average 22 points. He did take 17
mhm,
field goal attempts a game. His team was obviously trash. I think that efficiency will go up this year. But for
yeah,
me, just like the efficiency and that's pretty much what the 3-point percentage was not high. He took a lot of them, and I don't know. That's just
yeah.
why he missed the cut for me.
For me, he just had no like help, right?
Yeah.
Like the second best player season wide was like Mason Plumlee, which is like
Yeah.
not good to hear, right? But like with the improvements of Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, and obviously the huge additions of Cade Cunningham and Kelly Olynyk just spacing the floor. When he had all those guys in, I think his efficiency will shoot up.
Yeah.
And the one thing he did that combated his efficiency was his defense. I thought, oh man, this guy's gonna be a first option. Now that defense is gonna be so bad. Like it's just
Hmm.
gonna be go because that's where all his energy goes, right?
Right.
But no, he was still a solid defender. He was still a really good defender. Like not even like he was like above average. He was a really good defender. He was, closing lanes. He was attacking the he was basically scoring the best and being the main point of the offense and still guarding the best guy, which is like that was incredible. And if you keep that up with Cade and stuff, this Pistons team's gonna be really fun.
Yeah, totally. Like if his efficiency just goes up by like
A
5%,
little bit. Yeah.
just a little bit, he's probably much higher on my list. But just for me, he just missed the cut. Okay, so who should
Gordon
we talk about
Hayward.
next? Gordon Hayward. Yeah, so you have him at 10, I have him at 9. Gordon Hayward had
Yeah.
an awesome year last year. 19 and a half, 6 and 4, 47% from the field, 41.5% from three. Amazing. And
Yeah.
I think he got injured, of course, like he always does right around the All-Star break. And if he didn't, he could totally have made the All-Star team. And then the rest of the season, like going into the play-in, he was just injured. That's kind of the story with him. Honestly, if he were consistently on the floor, he could be a lot higher on this list.
Yeah. It was just injuries because when he wasn't injured, that Hornets team was like sixth.
Yeah.
Like, that's how big of an improvement he made, and that's how big of a player he is. And we've just seen, Utah Gordon Hayward back when he could like play make, do a little bit more, and he's not like the fourth option sitting in the
Right.
corner shooting threes, right? He's playmaking, he's starting the offense, and he's going to be great with, LaMelo's going to take a huge jump. Second year jump is always huge. Terry Rozier is going to be on people's shooting guard list because that's how good he's been. Uh, they have Mason Plumlee, who's a slight improvement over Cody Zeller. PJ Washington and Miles Bridges, they make improvements at the power forward spot. The bench is getting slightly better. The coaching is finally good too. Like this Hornets team is fun, and Gordon here is a huge reason for that.
Yeah, totally. Like you said, the playmaking is so underrated with him.
Underrated, yeah.
Um, yeah, only 4 assists a game, but like he was playing on a team with like 3 point guards on the floor pretty much all at one time.
Yeah,
And yeah, no, he's the perfect like second, third option for a team like that. He fits so well with that team. 41.5%
yeah,
from three. He came back from that injury and just became crazy from three. And
yeah,
if he's healthy, he could honestly be like a 7, top 6 on this list, totally, like talent
Yeah,
wise.
for sure. Yeah.
And his defense isn't bad either.
Yeah, his defense is always solid and he's always,
Yeah,
a good defender. And he's sometimes guides the best guys too. So yeah,
yeah,
he's definitely not a slouch on that end of the floor.
yeah. Okay, so you probably have
Michael
Brandon
Porter
Ingram
Jr.
higher,
Yeah.
and then you probably have
You have
OG
Mike.
Anunoby not on your list, right?
Yeah, OG is 11th on my list. So
Okay,
you
so
have Michael Porter Jr. higher,
I
probably.
have him slightly higher. Yes. Do
Okay.
you want to talk about OG and
Let's do
Anunoby?
OG. Let's
All
do
right, let's
OG's
do OG.
my 11th. One of my fan favorites. Probably the next jersey that I'm gonna buy. Great defender, probably all NBA level defender, all NBA like first team level defender. Uh, Offense took huge strides the last couple of months when the ball was given to his hands. He was shown to be that he could score 20 almost consistently every day. And when you combine that with his all elite defense, you have one of the best small forwards in the league, especially at his age.
Yeah, totally. At his age, such a good point. He shot 40% from three this year on 6 attempts a game, 48% from the field, 16 points. He averaged 18 post All-Star. Like you said, he took a huge jump towards the end of the season, and I think that jump is going to continue this year, especially with Pascal at the first couple of months. He's going to have to take
Yeah.
on a lot more responsibility. He's 5.5 boards a game, elite defense. He can play and guard pretty much 5 positions if he needs to. He's just he's not a first option. He's not a second option, but he is the perfect 3 and D
Third up.
plus
Yeah.
plus plus where he brings you amazing defense. He is crazy from three these days. And his just other scoring skills have gotten so much better lately, and he's just becoming more and more reliable by the season.
Yeah, and he's probably one of the favorites to win Most Improved Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
also took a jump from last year as well. Like he went from averaging 10.6 points to 15.9. He went 5.3 rebounds to 5.5 rebounds, 1.6 assists to 2.2 assists, still averaging 1.5 steals, still averaging 0.7 blocks. He's three jumped up. He only made 1.3 last season. Now it's 2.4.
Yeah.
His free throw percentage jumped up from 71 to now 78. Like he improved across the board, efficiency, everything. Like he improved so much last year, and that's what a Raptors team that was just in and out, battling COVID, injured, like just changes were changing. He didn't know who he was playing with every night. He didn't know what his role was. Now when he has his set role, like hey, you're gonna be getting 20 shots a game. You're gonna be able to ISO when you want. You can have plays called for you. You can have some bench time run where you're with the bench unit where you're the main guy. You're bringing up doing all that stuff, right? It's just going to be much more settling for him, and he's going to have an even better year just because it's just like more common and like aware of what he's doing.
Yeah, honestly, the first until Pascal comes back, this could be a very Jeremy Grant-esque start to the season for OG. And then maybe when Pascal does come back, maybe the scoring takes a little bit of a step back, but the efficiency goes up. I actually think Jeremy Grant is a really good comparison for him this year. They're pretty similar type players. Jeremy Grant probably has a little bit better of like a pull-up three in his game than OG. But yeah, I would not be shocked if OG averaged over 20 points until November, December.
Yeah. And another key thing to point out is like Pascal and Freddie both know that they don't need to be the first option. Like they shouldn't be the first option if their team's going to be really successful. So they're going to be seeing and like trying to feed OG and trying to get him rolling because they know how much potential he has. And they know like, hey man, if this guy becomes a first option, a solidified first option, and we could go into our second and third options, our teams can be one of the best in the leagues. And they know that. So they're definitely going to be trying to help him and, be those older veterans who are still in their 20s and are going to try to push him to that success.
Yeah. And it's crazy that someone as good as OG Anunoby doesn't crack your list. And like, I don't disagree with that. It's just like the small forward group is so stacked.
Best position.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess I'll give you my 7-6-5 so that we can talk about Michael Porter Jr. next. I have him at 7, and then I have Demar Derozan at 6 and Chris Middleton at 5.
Okay, so we basically have the same list. I have Demar Derozan at 7, Brandon Ingram at 6, and Chris Middleton at 5.
Okay, yeah. So let's talk Michael Porter Jr. I was toying around having him at 8, maybe even 9, and then like I'm just looking at his numbers, man. He was 19 points and 7 boards a game this year. Almost 55% from the field, and that's mostly on threes. He shot almost 45% from three. You might bring up the Jokic effect. How many wide open shots is he getting playing with Jokic, playing on a system like that versus someone like Ingram? who was on a team that was not nearly as well coached with not nearly as good a roster around him. But Michael Porter Jr. is straight up one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. And doing it at his age with the consistency that he did it this year. And he's going to be asked to be the second option until Jamal Murray comes back. I totally think he has the capability to average like 23, 24. And yeah, man, he's just a crazy shooter.
Yeah, and he's everyone's MIP pick. He should be everyone's MIP pick. He's going to be betting odds on favorite. He's incredible. Obviously, the injury concerns are still there. That's why he dropped so much in the draft.
Yeah.
And every time you see him like wearing a back brace when he's warming up or whatever, you're like, you know, but he's been good. He's been playing hard. His defense has been improving. He's been putting a lot of effort into it. So that's really good for him. That's why I have him on this list, because like he's able to get a bucket. He's able to shoot, you know, efficiently and at a high volume, especially at the 3-point line. And he's able to, you know, try on defense, try to make an impact there. And, you know, as the second option, they had a good first round series against, they beat the Portland Trailblazers. And then they had a good, you know, against the Western Conference champions, the Suns. And that was all Michael Porter Jr., obviously with Jokic, but he was being a solid second option. He was stepping up. And when you add Jamal Murray to this mix of team with this evolved Michael Porter Jr., who is already like a bona fide second option, this team's going to be championship contenders.
Yeah. Totally agree. Michael Porter Jr. as a third option behind Jamal Murray is like
crazy,
pretty insane. And it's just health. If he's healthy the whole year, he should be the runaway favorite for MIP, I think. Like you said, he averaged like 19 a game, basically just shooting threes. Like that's Klay Thompson type stuff. Like it's pretty insane.
Yeah, and people forget how big he is too, because like he's huge. So imagine he just adds a little more of that mid range and everything to his game. Like we could see an easy 25-point game, and then they're back to being contenders without Jamal Murray. So add Jamal Murray to that, and that's going to be crazy. And you say Brandon Ingram as a third option, but maybe even, you know, Jamal Murray as a third option would be pretty insane too. Yeah. So crazy to watch.
Yeah, insane. Like he's almost Kevin Durant levels of being able to just shoot over anyone. 6'10". Yeah. He can explode and just fire that three like pretty much whenever he wants. And getting fed from Jokic it's not fair.
Yeah, and he's gonna have so much shooting around his team too, so he's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, insane. All right, so Brandon Ingram, I flip-flopped him a couple times on my list. I love Brandon Ingram. He was 24, 5, and 5 this year, which is amazing. Pretty good efficiency too. He was like 38% from three. I guess the reason I put Porter ahead of him was just the efficiency and just how like you could plug him into any team and he would just be unbelievable. But if Ingram played with Jokic, he probably would be much more efficient too. And he's just so skilled, such a good playmaker. And I'm hoping that on this new more spacing-based Pelicans team, we see a better season from Ingram as well as Zion. I'm hoping, because I really like him. But why do you have him a little bit higher in your list than me?
I have him pretty high on my list because this is his second year doing this. You know, he's consistently averaged, 23.8, so basically 24 points. He's consistently averaged, 4.2 assists last year, 4.9 this year, so around 4 to 5 assists. Rebound 6.1 last year, 4.9 this year, so around 5 to 6 rebounds. And then he's consistently, shot well, efficiently. His effective field goal percentage both years have been 53%. His free throw percentage last year was 85, this year 87.8. His 2-point field goal percentage last year 50, this year 51, and his 3-point percentage last year 39, this year 38. So basically, he's efficient. He can score 24, and he can get you 5 and 5.
Yeah,
like that's crazy. Like those are crazy stats. He's should have stats of like one of the top 5 guys. Like that's how good he is. Like his stats put him up there.
Yeah.
Obviously, the winning and stuff, but like that's a team. It's a team game at the end of the day. So I don't try to dock him too much. That's why I have him pretty high on my list at number 6. Because I think if you swap him with a couple of the guys in front of him, even like a Chris Middleton, I think the Bucks might get better, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like that's how good I think Brandon Ingram is, right? I think he has more talent. I think he's doing better efficiently. It's just Chris Middleton gets to play with Giannis and Drew Middleton. Well, Brandon Ingram, has Zion, but has Zion and like Lonzo Ball. Like it's a big difference than playing with Giannis and Drew Holiday, right? So it's just his team situation. And I think he'll keep taking those jumps with Zion, and they'll definitely be in the top 5 soon.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. You could argue that he's over DeMar DeRozan, and like
Yeah,
I would disagree,
Chris
but
Middleton.
not passionately. And same with
Yeah,
Chris Middleton. Yeah, he's just that talented. He's so well read, 3-level scorer. He
mhm,
can play good defense. We haven't seen it too much recently, but I'm
yeah.
hoping with better, more stable
More
coaching
winning.
systems like that, more winning, he'll be
Yeah,
a better defender because him with defense is like easily top 5, maybe top 4 on this list,
yeah, yeah.
which is crazy. Okay, so who did we not talk about yet? I guess
DeMar DeRozan
let's just do DeMar
and
DeRozan.
Chris
I got
Middleton.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I got DeMar at 6. You have him at 7.
yeah,
DeMar DeRozan he hasn't averaged under 20 since 2012, I think. This past year he was 21 and a half, 4 boards and 7 assists a game,
yeah.
just under 50% from the floor, 88% from the line. Obviously doesn't shoot threes, but outside of shooting threes and defense, like we've always said, DeMar DeRozan is one of the most talented players in the league, and the
Mhm.
playmaking has been just getting better and better and better every year, and we're going to see that on full display on this Bulls team where he is the worst shooter on the floor, which is going to be really really cool to see.
Incredible. Yeah. And we have to also like he's probably the half court
Yeah,
playmaker for this
yeah,
Bulls team because Lonzo Ball, like, people are gonna talk about his great playmaking, but it's always like transition playmaking what Lonzo's greatest at. So, half court playmaking, fourth quarter playmaking is gonna be DeMar DeRozan. It's gonna be a lot of plays set between Vucevic and Levine, and I like DeMar DeRozan trying to get him the rock. And it's gonna be to see that happen. And this is the first year since a while that DeMar has how many 20 scorers on his team. Yeah, this Bulls team has 3 20-point scorers. We know Levine's going to be in that 25-point range, 24-point range. We know Vucevic is going to be in that 20 to 18-point range. And then we know DeMar could easily, he hasn't averaged 20 since 2012. So he's going to be getting that 20 points again. And then we know people like Lonzo's going to be, shooting, and,
yeah,
he's going to be getting his points too. He's going to be efficiently helping his team. Patrick Williams is expected to take a jump. All Bulls fans are saying that. We've seen how good he is on defense. So this Bulls team is going to be incredible, and DeMar DeRozan is going to be a huge part of that.
yeah. It's so awesome to see like the league or at least the Bulls have just accepted that he just can't shoot and you have to surround him with shooters. And now that
Yeah,
he finally has been, like, we haven't seen him surrounded by shooters ever. I mean, a
yeah,
little bit like in the bubble when he was just like playing the 4 and he had like
four, yeah,
4 shooters around him. It was pretty interesting to see, but the talent on this team is so much higher than that one.
mhm,
Um, and seeing him as that fourth quarter playmaker, the half court playmaker, it could be a little like Jimmy Butler esque, maybe how like Jimmy
yeah,
Butler, he can't shoot at all, but he's playmaking, getting to the line a lot, scoring, and taking over in the fourth quarter. We both obviously love DeMar DeRozan. I got his jersey right behind me, and I don't know if he's going to be an all-star this year because you said his scoring is probably, I don't know if he's going to
they're
average
going to
under
dip.
20, but it's not going to be 27 or anything like that.
Yeah,
But we could definitely see like a 19 and 8 maybe season
yeah,
from him, something like
yeah,
that, with winning. So who knows? I'm really hoping.
yeah. He's going to be one of those guys that are going to be talked a lot again. We thought he should have been an All-Star lock
Yeah,
last year. We both had him in our All-Star teams, but the media didn't feel that way. A lot of people, everyone else did, but they were winning around the All-Star break too. They were in that playoff contention, so he should have made it. But now in the East, you're just going to see Levine's going to be a lock for
yeah,
the All-Star game. So the Bulls getting a second one, they have to be winning a lot of games. And there might be some chemistry issues just like that, but DeMar DeRozan is still going to be great. And
yeah,
by the end of the season, his stats are going to look incredible, and the Bulls are going to be doing pretty well too.
yeah, yeah. And I don't know, but you but like I think he looks so good in that Bulls jersey. Just like seeing the photoshops of him like in that red and like the black, it looks so like he looks so at home in a Bulls jersey.
Yeah, because it's the red Raptors jersey,
Yeah,
close
maybe
enough.
that's
At
it.
least he's
Maybe.
yeah,
Okay, so Chris Middleton, we both have him one spot higher than DeMar DeRozan. Talent wise, I don't know if he's better than DeMar DeRozan, but he is an amazing shooter and plays with Giannis.
yeah.
And won a championship this year, being the second option. So
Second
like he
option,
has to
yeah,
be number 5. Nothing but respect
yeah.
and love for Chris Middleton.
Yeah, but he's Michael Jordan 40% of the time, and then
Yeah.
he's a Kyle Kuzma the other 60% of the time. He has incredible games where he's just scoring everything and going crazy.
Yeah, I didn't even write down Chris Middleton's stats on my notes here just because like I know what he is. He's just a consistent 20, 41% from 3. Um, Second option, perfect guy to play with Giannis. Uh, Past that, I mean, he's a good defender, and if he could do what he does like 3 out of 5 games in the playoffs, then he would be like one of the best players in the NBA.
Chris Middleton's one of the best shooters in the league. And when you have it, Chris Middleton's one of the best shooters in the league. And when you have Giannis around him, and then you have, his hot streaks where he's like Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
he's going to be top 5 in any position. He's
Yeah.
just that good. And you have to
Yeah.
put respect on the second option on a championship team.
Yeah, no, you have to. I don't want to sound like we're disrespecting Chris Middleton, because without his heroics in like some of those playoff games, they don't
They
win
want to be champions. Yeah.
But let's move on to the top 4 though. Let's you go ahead. You give me yours.
So Jimmy Butler at 4, Jason Tatum at 3, Kawhi at 2, and LeBron at 1.
Yeah, same order for me. I think Jimmy Butler and Tatum, you could make an argument that you could flip those two, but yeah, Jimmy Butler, he was actually better this year than he was last year. He was 20 points, 6.7 boards, and 6 assists this year versus, 2 years ago he was 20, 6.7, and 6. This year he was 21.5, 7, and 7. So he actually got better. Even though we remember the season 2 years ago because they made the finals, obviously. Jimmy Butler is basically, he doesn't shoot the 3, but he does every single thing else you want. He's an amazing defender. Yeah. He gets to the free throw line, hits his free throws. He's a good half-court playmaker, and he takes over in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and he does what his team needs. That's kind of what it is. For me, Tatum was higher just because he just scores way more. Yeah. He's 26.4, 7.4 rebounds, 4.3 assists, and he's just crazy efficient at 87% from free throw, 53% effective field goal percentage, and 38.6% from 3, and he shot 40% last year. So he's a really good 3-point shooter. That step back 3 is kind of iconic.
Yeah.
And when you have those both compared, they're like two different players. The defense, playmaking, and fourth quarter like heroics for Jimmy Butler versus just buckets for Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
And that's what he is. And for him, it's gonna be tough for him to crack the top 2 because those guys just have finals MVPs and are crazy, right?
Yeah.
So until Tatum's gonna be 3 for a long while until he gets that ring and finals MVP and all that stuff.
Yeah, Tatum is like, he is we're Raptors fans, so we see him a lot. And we've seen him in playoff series before. He's one of the most terrifying players with the ball in his hands. Like, it doesn't matter where he's on the floor. Like, he's gonna score. It's like almost Kevin Durant level, like with how good he is at scoring and shooting over people. He was 26, 7, 4 on 46% from the field, 39% from 3, 87 from the line at age 22. Like, just to be that talented at age 22 it's stupid. Like, I don't understand. He talent-wise totally could be in the top 2. It's just like maybe injuries. If Kawhi Leonard is injured the whole season and just doesn't play, maybe Jason Tatum is actually in the top 2. It just sucks that he's a small forward because any other list he would be like easily top best, 2 just based on his talent. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the guys he's going up against are a lot of people's greatest of all time, and Kawhi Leonard, who's probably the greatest playoff performer since like LeBron or like it's crazy. Jason Tatum he's one of the faces of the league for young guys. I would say I have him, Luka Doncic, Zion, Trae Young, and then Giannis still because Giannis is only 26. But Giannis is kind of already the face of the league. But that's we already had that competition for power forward, so we'll leave that at that. But yeah, man, Tatum, nothing he really can improve on. Like,
no,
maybe better defense, but
maybe
he's just good everywhere.
Yeah, he's like, it's crazy how we don't talk about him more as like, Luka is obviously the next face of the league, but Luka has way more holes in his game than Jason Tatum does. So like, maybe just he doesn't really have the loudest personality. He's not like getting into the like trouble with the media or anything like that. He's not saying anything controversial ever. But yeah, like a guy who can he's probably going to average 27 this year in his age 23 season and lead his team at least into a playoff series is just ridiculous. Like, we just take for granted that this guy's our age and he's scoring 27 a game in the NBA, like, easily.
Yeah. And he had 50 playoff games, which are just
like
not even talk about.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's how crazy he is.
So let's move on to Kauai. Obviously, we're partial to him because he won our Toronto Raptors championship. And when he's healthy, he is. I mean, I don't know if I would put him over LeBron, but he's right there with them. Uh, I don't know what else to say about him. Kawhi Leonard, he's just like you said, one of the best playoff performers of our generation. And like
Yeah.
Clippers may have won the championship if he was healthy this year.
Yeah, one of the best defenders, one of the best playoff performers. Probably wins a championship if he was healthy, in my opinion. That's not a slate on the Bucks or whatever. That's just my
Yeah.
opinion. If he was healthy, he wins a championship. Then he would have 3 championships with 3 different teams, 3 Finals MVPs with 3 different teams. Only other person to do that is the person above him, LeBron James.
Yeah.
Like he's amazing. He's one of the best performers of all time, and he just doesn't have that longevity to put him in the top 10, like ever or whatever stuff like that, because of his injuries and all that history. But talent-wise, he's probably one of the top 10 talented players in the NBA of all time. Like that's how good he is.
Yeah.
And the only person above him is number 2 in my GOAT standings. He's behind just Michael Jordan, and that's LeBron James. Do we even have to talk about him? He had a Space Jam movie. It was all right. Wasn't as good as Space Jam 1. Another thing Michael Jordan beat him out at, but man, it's LeBron James. There's nothing else really to say. He's one of the greatest of all times for a reason.
There's nothing to say. He'd be if he was a point guard again this year, he'd be the number 1 point guard.
Curry, I don't know.
Okay, well, I guess we'll talk about that later.
We'll have that later. Yeah,
we'll have that later. But yeah, like LeBron James, there's nothing else to say. Unfortunately, this year was derailed by injuries for him and for his team.
He probably wins a championship too.
He was healthy. I think he probably does win the championship if he's healthy.
Yeah.
Which it seems like we're saying about a lot of these players, but
yeah,
like he hasn't lost a step. Like I don't care, people, when he hurt his groin in his first year with the Lakers and they missed out on the playoffs. Like, yeah, it wasn't his best year ever, but people were saying he lost a step and he was regressing. I think that was insanity. We saw that last year. He won the championship, was the best player in the league again, and was in the MVP conversation, top 3, until he got injured this year. And he's going to come back hopefully fully healthy and be the same old LeBron. Like, he's just not slowing down.
Yeah. And I don't know, for whoever watches this clip, try to watch a LeBron game while you can, because he will retire sooner than you guys think, and he will just be gone off the face of the league.
Yeah.
And, you're not going to see him, right? And, try to watch a LeBron game, try to watch a Luka game, try to watch those big player games, because you want to experience greatness. And LeBron only here for a little while. And the whole Lakers team, Westbrook's old, Dwight Howard's old, Rondo's old, Carmelo's old. That's kind of old guys. Anthony Davis is still young, but you want to watch him too. So watch that Lakers game if you can.
Yeah, if you have any opportunity to go see them live, like you said, some Hall of Famers that are sadly towards the tail end of their careers.
You can watch it once,
If you can, go do it. We're gonna try. We don't know how many Raptors fans are gonna be allowed in the stadium this year, but we're gonna try our very best.
Yeah, that's definitely priority 1, that game.
Yeah. So that pretty much does it for our small forward list. We're going to be back with shooting guards. Like we said, Paul George, we're going to count as a shooting guard. On any other team in the NBA, he'd be a small forward, but
small forward
for the Clippers is a shooting guard. This was a tough list, but it wasn't. It was a little different, but we pretty much mostly agree on everything. The only guy that I think needs some mention is I have Mikal Bridges down as like another honorable mention. I think he's really good.
I have TJ Warren down as honorable.
TJ Warren, that's a good one too. Yeah, Mikal Bridges, I mean, he was 54% from the field and 42% from 3 with his defense. Just really respectable. TJ Warren is awesome too.
Last time we saw TJ Warren healthy was in the bubble where he was Michael Jordan.
Very true.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Anyway, so we're going to be back next week with small forwards. Thank you everyone for listening to this, with shooting guards. Thanks everyone for listening to the small forwards one. In the meantime, check out our STF clips page on YouTube for the best clips from all of our podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Stretch the Floor Podcast. But most importantly, subscribe to the feed on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast, and leave a 5-star rating and review, because it all really helps with the algorithm. But other than that, thank you again for listening, and we'll see you guys back next week.